All right, welcome Saints Nation. We're going to get ourselves right into the swing of things as we do have, of course, St. Clair College up against Miami University of Ohio, and we're going to start this series up on Garrison for the hard point. My name's Dan Banner, also known as Mr. Danner, is joining me again here tonight. We're going to have Shadi Hannah. Welcome back to another Call of Duty cast. Are you excited?
Of course, as always, I love getting to try my hand at new games. Last week was my first Call of Duty cast, and now back for the run back here tonight on Hardpoint. Definitely one of my favorite map types that I like casting. It's one of the more entertaining ones to watch. There's always high stakes competition between these two teams, and the strategies that they employ are always really interesting and really fun to learn about too. You were telling me before the game, however, that we're down our top fragger tonight.
That is, in fact, the case. Unfortunately, there has been a couple rolling blackouts in the Windsor area. I know it kind of hit you during the Hearthstone match, and it
Yes.
actually hurt Priestley as well. So he's going to be down and out here tonight. Corius is going to be in for the substitution slot, get some field time here as we're now trying to crack this next hard point with the Saints basically one after another getting swamped down, and Corius going to be short to follow. So Miami University going to take themselves a small lead to get things started.
Hardpoint's one of those maps where, we talked about it last week, Jackson and I, when we were on cast together. It's one of those maps where, a team can get an early lead, but it's really all about those respawns and controlling those respawns. And so far, Miami's done a decent job of getting a hold there. But St. Clair actually not doing a horrible job setting up for this next point. They're kind of willing to concede this first one. They're already getting ready for the next as Miami starts pushing up here. Brandon losing out on the 1v1 against Rando, though. That's not going to go too well while losing a core member. Lavelle's the next to fall. And St. Clair, they had this beautiful setup on the second point, and they're all just going to start dropping like flies. Miami should be able to pick this up.
And they're all right around the corner. Sauce was the only one really available to contend, but not going to be able to get there in time. Going to be up to Brandon and the rest of the squad coming in hot off of their respawns. Brandon's going to find one, nearly getting himself flanked, but he is actually going to end up going down. We're going to have to see if Sauce can clean up that kill, but where did Corius go? He's already trying to contest the point, does get shot down. Sauce gets shot down as well. Lavelle in the building, right around the corners. Of course, we got Rando on the side of Miami University right there as well. Nice little grenade to just flush Lavelle out of position. So it's going to be Miami University of Ohio to take the first 100 so far. Of course, in these hard point maps, first to 250 will be your victor here in this first game.
That's those dual win cons. It seems like Call of Duty really likes enforcing these types of maps where, there's so many different ways to win. But you're obviously pushing for that point lead and trying to build up your score as quickly as possible. And so far, Miami's done a really good job of doing that, pulling themselves to about a 90-point lead already within the first minute of play. It's a really big lead that St. Clair is not going to have to shut down, but then also overcome. Brandon with the nice 2K. That's 3 kills now on the board for St. Clair. And they should be able to take control of this hard point. Already kind of setting up for that next one. Needs to keep someone on point, though, so they're always racking up points. And there we go. Corius off to the side, trying to get a pick, but actually gets taken down now. And St. Clair, they've got 2 bodies on board, but Miami is making this push.
That was a little bit uncharacteristic there for the Saints to start off that hard point. There was 40 seconds still on the point, and nobody was touching it. Now it's a little bit different because Sauce did get shot down, but now Lavelle's going to try and get onto the point, does get tagged up. It is going to be taken control of here by Miami University of Ohio, but at the same time, not very much left in the tank in regards to that hard point itself. Brandon going to get outshot here. It's going to be Cupan on the side of Miami University of Ohio. And now Corius is near the point, but not exactly in a position to kind of follow up the rest of the squad. Corius going to find one. Brandon going to get shot down. Bit of a back and forth going on. Sauce not going to find the better end of that gunfight. And the point is actually still open. The grenade from Lavelle does kind of even things up a little bit. Saints technically in control, but not by much. A little bit stuck here, trying to get themselves forward. Brandon finds one. Can he find the second? He's going to get a bow dropped on him, basically. And this point is still 30 seconds in, and maybe the Saints got like 2 points off of it, and they're still trying to push for it, but nobody can really keep control.
Just looks a little unpolished. I don't really know how else to say it. Like the Saints, we've seen them play more than a number of times, and they usually do like when they're defending the point. they're holding on to it. Miami was just with the clean sweep right there. This is kind of what I'm talking about, Danners. It kind of feels like the offensive push from St. Clair is just not very well coordinated. They're getting picked off left, right, and center. They haven't really been able to make an aggressive push onto the point, and it's part of the reason why they're having such a hard time actually building up a point score. Because every time they touch, they get trickled, they get scattered, and then Miami manages to claim like 15, 20 points off of every hard point. So St. Clair really needs to find themselves in a position where they can group up, get a clean push, and actually hold ground together as a team as opposed to trying these, solo man hero plays.
Definitely a little bit on. We're going to see Sauce trying to group up here with the rest of the squad. It's going to be curious to find one, but Calby on the side of Miami University of Ohio and QPan are absolutely killing it right now. Technically, all the players on the side of Miami University are just absolutely killing it in regards to their KDs. Everybody going positive as of right now. Saints not a single one as of this moment. So just getting out-fragged overall seems to be the name of the game here for St. Clair. Trying to turn this one around, but they're still able to at least keep it close. Unfortunate grenade there coming out from Brandon does find Corius. Welcome into the field. Gets taken down by your own teammate, but it happens to the best of us. Lavelle, though, does clear a path, takes care of Calby, and now has control for at least a moment for the rest of the Saints to come on through and actually get themselves at least a tiny bit of control, but there is going to be some players on the side of Miami right around the corner.
Yeah, Miami's just winning out on their gunfights. Like, they've really demonstrated not only a strategic skill, QPan and Randall, each with the double kill. Actually, I believe Rafe, you picked up one of those, so Miami getting another ace, completely wiping out the side of St. Clair. But this team, they've demonstrated not only a strategic a superiority, but also just like mechanical skill as well. We're seeing a number of times, even on stream here, on camera, right in front of us, where Miami's just in a 1v1 situation. Both players spot each other out at the same time, and Miami's just winning out on the gunfight. They're just shooting better, they're fragging better, and because of that, they're managing to get better leads as a team. Sauce actually manages to find a pick up onto QPan, the top fragger for Miami. That's a good pick there. Brandon finding a pick onto Rafi. Sauce with the pick up onto Calby. This might be the push that St. Clair needs, actually getting themselves onto this hard point. They've got a good defense here, but the respawns for Miami are still, they've got a flank angle right now. They're not completely phased off, and Miami's going to be able to use that, get 3 picks of their own, and take over the hard point again. This is exactly what I was talking about, Danner. St. Clair just can't find a hold.
Yeah, even if Miami isn't the first ones there, they clean it up anyway, so it doesn't even matter. Sauce really trying here for the Saints to get them at least a little bit ahead in some of these gunfights. Found himself a couple of good ones, but unfortunately not enough to get the job done. Unfortunately, they're from Brandon, going to end up going down to Rando on the side of Miami, and this one is going to go over to the side of Miami without question. Now, on this next hard point, in theory, that could be the game if the Saints can't get over there in time. Lavelle is right in the center, try and maybe catch somebody transitioning, but it's not going to matter. Gets blown up right away. 20 points, only 20 seconds. Miami University of Ohio need to hang on to in order to secure game number 1 here on the Garrison hardpoint. And so far, again, just the insane fragging ability coming out from this squad, just tearing right through as we see one final attempt here for St. Clair to try and get there. Brandon finds himself a 2K, but is eventually going to get shut down, and that is going to be game number 1 to Miami University.
Well played game from Miami. We did jump into the game a little bit late. Didn't get to see how that initial point started off. Might have been. I'm kind of curious actually to see maybe if it was just like, Miami won the first point and then St. Clair just didn't have the space or the time to regroup the way they wanted to and just got completely zoned off of their attacks, of their attack approach. But Miami, I mean, they just did an incredible job of getting that pick, setting up on point, and just holding it and making sure that if they ever got pushed off point, they were finding that pick and they were capitalizing on it. St. Clair, the difference is they were finding picks here and there, sure, but they were never capitalizing on it. They weren't getting good spawns. They weren't able in position to actually touch the point. So Miami never really lost control of that game. Even if St. Clair got a couple of points under their belt, it never really felt like they had control over the game.
Absolutely. Just time and time again, we saw like Saints throw themselves at the point, but at the end of the day, it did not actually stick for at least a significant amount of time. Maybe a couple, like, solid attempts, but not enough to really get the ball rolling here. And this is a little bit nerve-wracking because, I mean, like, looking at, like, going through the past CCL matches, in fact, I think I actually have something built. What is preparation? Let's take a look. We actually do have the last couple scores on the side of St. Clair, and right now, They started off the season so good, and now they are on a 3-game lose streak. Butler University, Purdue Gold took them down last week, and then Illinois Orange about 2 weeks ago. Just taking them down time and time again. And the Saints definitely kind of feeling the hurt a little bit. Like trying to get themselves back on the right track, right on the right swing of things, but unfortunately just have not quite found it so far here. And right now, this Miami University of Ohio squad basically going to be picking up where the other teams left off. And of course, quickly going to actually even mention the players on the side of Miami, because since we kind of got in there pretty quickly, properly introduce our opponents, of course. So that's Rafe, and then there's Q-Pan. We've seen him popping off a little bit alongside Calby, and then there was Rando. And then, of course, like we were talking about a little bit in the beginning of the game, Priestley not going to be on the starting roster this time by, of course, caught up in the power outages currently hitting certain areas of Windsor. And this does mean that Correas gets to hop on in there, but that first game, I don't know if he was kind of told to come into the game last second, but he looked cold, to say the least there. Like maybe like a .5 KDA just unfortunately was rather ineffective to get things started here.
Corey's defense, I mean, really, it just looked like Miami was outclassing St. Clair on every front. Really,
Mhm.
they were just everybody had like you mentioned, everyone was positive on the side of Miami, and on the side of St. Clair, everyone was negative. So, you know, definitely rough to come in as a sub, especially maybe on a last minute call. Especially when you're playing against a team that's proven that they're a force to be reckoned with. But it's only game one, best of 5 series. We got lots of time to build ourselves up and find a win later on in the series. So it's between these games, it's taking that time to transition, get your strategy together. You've seen Miami play. Maybe you can pick out some of their strengths and their weaknesses and figure out if there's anything you can exploit. Get yourself small advantages as you move on into the next game.
Absolutely. Now, to actually go through the map list that we should be seeing, of course, we'll go through all game 5s or all 5 maps, of course. Game 1, of course, was the Garrison Hardpoint. But game 2 is going to be on Miami Search and Destroy. This is one that the Saints have been picking pretty consistently. If I were to say so myself, I feel like maybe every other week we find ourselves here on Search and Destroy. When we do get to game 3, however, for the control map, it is going to be Garrison once again. Then if we get to game 4, it's going to be Checkmate. We're going to go play with the plane, Checkmate Hardpoint specifically. And then if we do end up getting to a game number 5, Garrison Search and Destroy is what is on the lineup. Lots of Garrison. Seems to be a relatively well-liked map overall. But if I do recall correctly, I mean, I'm not 100% sure. I feel like there was a couple of rule changes, actually, that's going to be coming in the CCL very shortly, because there is a new map around the corner for them. Apocalypse is going to be entered in, I think, within a week or two. So once that drops, that's going to be insane. But it does also mean that some of the maps had to rotate out. I know that Garrison Search and Destroy is one of them. So it might be one of the last times that we do actually see that that map with that game mode. It might be kind of interesting, actually, if like say you have pretty much a bunch of different maps, but only certain game modes could be played on certain ones. That might be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely more familiar for me. A lot of my experience with FPS titles comes from Overwatch, where certain maps are tied to certain play styles. Like what you're going into when you see a certain map. Whereas with COD, you've got all these different approaches to a map, and it's not just about learning the map and learning the different attack and defense points on those maps, but it's also learning what is the optimal strategy to employ on this map in this particular game mode as well. So there is, I guess, that level of comfort where you're not relearning an entirely new map from the start, but there is a lot of depth into learning these maps. So a team that can master a map can do really well on a number of different game points. So really, it shows. I guess one kind of point we can draw from that is going into games 3 and then 5. If we get to those points, is Miami just better mechanically than St. Clair, or do they just have a better mastery of this map? Because if so, St. Clair is really at a disadvantage fighting them on Garrison 3 times in the set.
Yeah, it does appear like we are under a little bit of a delay. Unfortunately, some technical issues are now happening with Coria. So not only did Priestley get smoked by a power outage, but I think something might have happened to Corias as well. which of course would put Saints in an unplayable state. So I think we're going to be taking ourselves a very quick break before we hop into game number 2. Hopefully, Corias gets himself back into the game sometime shortly. Otherwise, Saints can't compete straight up. I mean, if we're going to be hard on other teams, we got to be just as fair to ourselves, right? So we'll see very shortly what is going to happen here in regards to game number 2. Hopefully, it'll be right around the corner. We'll get you an update shortly.